Guess what? You have the confidence inside of you already to achieve any musical goal that you want, including auditioning. So, how do you hone your confidence? Well, my friend, that is with the Confident Musician's Audition Guide. This guide is to get you from the practice room to on the stage for your auditions. We talk about everything, including planning your practice, that's in Chapter 1, working with accompanists in Chapter 3, getting into the zone at auditions, that's in Chapter 5. Chapter 2 is all about mental practice, setting up mock auditions, and basically everything about mock auditions in Chapter 4, and auditioners, which is scattered throughout the whole guide, and a load more. Seriously, this 43-page guide is my baby. I have poured my heart and soul into this to make sure it is exactly what you need for your auditions. So whether you are just about to go into your auditions, thinking about how you are going to start auditioning, or just curious about how auditioning works, this guide is for you. Let's be honest, the auditioning process might be a short process, but the effects of it can be life-changing. So invest in you, and let's make this the audition season of confidence. Let's get you auditioning with confidence. Check out the show notes for the link to your copy, or visit confidentmusicianing.com. And we ended up having like a group discussion. It was so good. We ended up having this group chat about music school, about life at the school, about what they had just done in oboe class, just all of these amazing, interesting things. Hello and welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. My name is Eleanor and I am a British American oboist studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Literally my dream school. And it took me a long way to get there. I applied and auditioned for 12 schools in 3 different countries. It was a lot of hard work. But oh my gosh, so worth it. I want you to have the confidence to work hard in achieving your goals. So come with me as we go on this journey together. So sit down, pull up a chair, take a seat, or if you're on the go, welcome to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. Hi guys, welcome back to the Confident Musicianing Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This is a lovely cozy corner of the internet and I am so grateful to have you here. When I auditioned for music school, I visited universities or conservatoires in the US and the UK. And I had so much fun doing so, like seriously, especially for the UK. I went and I saw 3 different schools that I had gotten into because I visited them after I got into them. And, you know, for other schools, I visited them before or, you know, etc. But the UK visit was so much fun. It was 10 days because I was living in the States at the time. So it was just 10 days in the UK. It was absolutely mental in terms of like how busy I was. I went to 3 cities and we drove and it was just incredibly hectic but so much fun. And looking back on the UK visit and also the US visits, because I did those as well, and they were also so much fun. They weren't as hectic in a way, like they were more spaced out because it was in the same country and it was closer by, obviously. But it was just so much fun. And when I look back on these university visits, there are a few things that I think are really important to note if you are going to be visiting university, music school, conservatoire, conservatory, whatever, depending on the country. So today, let's dive into, I think I have 4 things here that are really important to know when you are going to visit a music school. So the first thing, and I think I did this without realizing it, is getting in touch with students of that school before actually visiting the school. Now, I kind of did it without thinking because I had questions. I had oboe related questions. There was some, I guess, not confusion, but some oboe related questions that I needed to sort out. And so I ended up talking to music students before I got there anyway. But what I realized was when I got there, it was so much more beneficial when I actually knew some students in the school. Now, I'm going to tell you a really fun story. So, basically, I was visiting the Royal Northern College of Music. It was one of the schools that I had gotten into, and so I, went to Manchester. I visited it, and I visited the school. And there was an oboist that I was in contact with, and I texted her, and I was like, "I'm in town. I'm here. Let's hang out. I wanna have a chat." And so she said, "Yes, we can have a chat." And we scheduled a time, and I showed up to the school, and she wasn't there. So I texted her, and I said, "I'm here. Where are you, etc." And she was like, "Oh, I'm just finishing up oboe class. I'll be down in a minute." And so I sat there, and it was fine. And then I saw her coming down, and she had, all the other oboes there with her, all of the other oboists. And I thought, okay, she's going to say goodbye to them, and then she's going to chat with me. But actually what happened is she walked down the stairs with all of these oboists, and she turned to me, and she turned to the oboist, and she said, "This is Eleanor." And we ended up having like a group discussion. It was so good. It was so good. Like, we ended up having this group chat about music school, about life at the school, about what they had just done in oboe class, just all of these amazing, interesting things. And I think, I'm so grateful to this person for doing that, because they did not have to do that. I did not ask them to do that. It was just a lovely kindness on their part. But I was so excited about that. I think it's a memory that I'll just always remember from that visit. It's just absolutely amazing. So that's something that I think, is a good thing to do, is to just talk to people and get in contact with people before going to the music school. You can do that through many different ways. You could do that. I did that sometimes through having a trial lesson with a teacher, and then asking them, "Could you put me in touch with one of the students?" You don't have to do the trial lesson bit, maybe, if you've already done that, or you're going to do that, but you want to have those connections beforehand. You could literally just email maybe a teacher and say, "I'm looking into this school. I want to get in contact with some of the students. Could you put me in contact with a student or two?" You could also maybe do it through Instagram, even, if you want to do that as well. I think I've done that before, I think. I don't remember, but you could just find a student on Instagram. If you go to the music school's page, and then maybe you can see, just see if you can find a student and maybe ask them. Now, that might not get as good of a response, but that's okay too. Just, it's important to find a student or two before you actually go to the uni, because then you'll have so much more insights, and also you'll feel a bit more chill. You won't feel like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know anyone here." It's just a nicer feeling. So that's number one. Number two is this is kind of on the same idea, getting in touch with the staff, with the teachers, professors, etc. before visiting as well. So getting in touch with the students is the first one. Getting in touch with the staff is the second one. Now, in this, I have a story from when I visited the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire in Birmingham, obviously. And I was previously in contact with the woodwind head, the head of woodwind at the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire, who also happens to be one of the oboe teachers. And I was in contact with her, and she was just absolutely lovely. And I said, I'm coming to Birmingham, I'm going to look at the school. And she said there was, she said something that was so amazing, and she did something that was so amazing, and that is she kind of created a day for me, or like 2 days. And so when I got there, even though it wasn't an open day, it wasn't like a day that was like designed for people to come look at the school. But she said, there's this class on at this time, there's this class on at this time, and there's also this one. You can join in on any of the classes. And I remember just like being so extremely excited about that, because I joined in on a performance class, I sat and watched it, I played in a repertoire class, like I literally joined in in a repertoire class and played, and that helped me meet the other oboists as well. So then I met students, and it was great. But that was a way for me to really see what school is like there. And if I didn't have that contact before actually going, I would have maybe walked in and looked at things, and kind of maybe looked in like the library or the theaters, maybe a classroom or two. Maybe I'd introduce myself to a few people, but I might feel a bit like I don't really belong almost, or like I don't know anyone here. I feel kind of out of my depth. But since I already knew one of the oboe teachers, and she was just absolutely phenomenal in creating this kind of this day, like she got me tickets for a performance at the end of the day. Like it was just so wholesome and lovely. So that really made the difference to that visit. Yes. So that's number 2. I think for you, just contact a teacher. If you've already had a trial lesson with a teacher, then that's a way as well. And if you're maybe thinking, Eleanor, what are you talking about with trial lessons? That's a good question. And I will link in the description, in the show notes, a few episodes that have to do with trial lessons if you're maybe thinking about it. Basically, if you don't know, a trial lesson is a lesson you have with a teacher that's not your teacher currently, but a teacher you might want to work with to see if you guys work well with each other. And it's a two-way situation. So that teacher is seeing if they work well with you, you are seeing if you work well with them. And it's just a really amazing way to get to know a teacher and know if they are a right fit for you. It can be really, really helpful when deciding where to go. So I will link a few episodes in the description or in the show notes for you to check out on that, if that is interesting to you. So you could take a trial lesson. You could just email them and say, introduce yourself as well. But that is something to definitely try and do, because it makes a world of difference when you are visiting. Okay, number 3, schedule a trial lesson while you are there. Now, this is interesting. So it depends, right? If you are going to see the school because you're auditioning, and maybe you've already had a trial lesson with the teacher, then maybe scheduling a trial lesson, like in the same time area as the audition is maybe not the best idea. But if you are visiting the school to visit the school, or even if you have an audition, but maybe you're like staying there for a while, etc. Maybe if it works, scheduling a trial lesson, I mean, you need to know, what's best for you. But for me, when I visited schools just to visit them, I did trial lessons. This is so helpful as well, because I just talked about trial lessons and how amazing they are, but I did a lot of my trial lessons online, especially because I was looking at schools, across an ocean. So I did a lot of trial lessons online, and then when I finally got to the actual, university, when I actually visited the school. Yes, when I actually visited the school, I was able to have a trial lesson in that environment. It is so helpful to have a trial lesson, because then it's easier almost to imagine yourself there because you've had a lesson. You know what I mean? Like, you're walking through the school, you're going to a lesson, you have your lesson, you leave the lesson, maybe you're walking in the same way as some other students, or some students, because you're not a student yet in that school, and it really helps you realize, okay, like, I could see myself here or I couldn't see myself here. It's so helpful. And also, you know, the teaching style of the teacher, face to face in person, as opposed to maybe online as well. So these things are really important to think about. So if you are going to a university or a conservatoire, and you're visiting, think about doing a lesson. I had, in the 10 days, in the 10 days I was in the UK when I was visiting schools, I had 4 oboe lessons, which was, I mean, in 10 days, that's a substantial number of oboe lessons. Okay, number 4. Don't just visit the uni, visit the city as well. Okay, this is an important one. So not necessarily just the tourist bits of the city. I mean, you could just go to the tourist bits and have a fun time, but maybe not for this. So it's important to maybe think about where you're going to be. Visiting the areas that you will be living near or that you will be living in. Maybe walk to a potential grocery shop, or some place that you might find yourself often going, and see if you like it. Because I feel like us as musicians, we need to grow in music, obviously, but we also need to grow as people as well. And if you don't have a place to grow as a person, how are you going to like grow as a musician? You know, I mean, like, we are people first. So it's important to kind of see that as well. So don't just visit the uni. Maybe take an afternoon to look at the neighborhoods around the uni. If you're living in student accommodation, what's it like around that student accommodation? If you are maybe living in a flat or living somewhere outside of student accommodation, what areas of the city would you want to live in? What areas would you not want to live in? What would be your path to, you know, your walk to the school? Does it go through areas maybe you don't want to walk through at night, for instance? So these things are, you know, not necessarily something that you would think of when you're visiting a uni, but I think it's really important to take note of all of these elements. So just go for a walk. Go for a walk. I remember when I visited Glasgow, I got on the subway and I just went round Glasgow, and I looked at different areas, and I thought, you know, what are these like? And yes, you can do tourist things if you want to, but that's not the main focus of this visit, right? This is kind of, what do I see myself here? Is this something that I would be interested in doing? So that is number 4. And before we do a bit of a recap, I want to tell you about something very exciting. So if you are visiting music schools, then that probably means that you are auditioning for music schools. And I remember my music school auditions. Some of them were really good, some of them were really not good, and some of them were the ones that I really learned from, whether that's good or not. But there were a lot of things that I kind of just wished someone told me. And after I auditioned, I took a gap year, and now I'm studying at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. But during that gap year, I thought, you know, I auditioned and I kind of wish there were things that people told me. I want to create a resource so that you have the things that I wish I knew when I was auditioning. And so that is called the Confident Musicians Audition Guide. In it, we go through so many things, including how to actually effectively plan your practice, how to work with an accompanist, how to send in like video auditions, just so many things, audition nerves, maybe like what to do in the audition actually to stand out from other people, celebrating after the audition, maybe, you know, also reflecting after the audition. All of these things are in the guide, and this guide I made especially for you. So if you are interested in that, because it is just full of so many good nuggets of information, that is in the description, that's in the show notes. Please do check it out, because it was made with love for you. All right, let's do a bit of a recap. Number 1, get in touch with students before going, just like how I did with the Royal Northern College of Music, and then I ended up meeting all of the oboes, which was very exciting. Number 2, get in touch with the staff, with the teachers, professors, etc. before going as well, and that way you know them as well. Number 3, schedule a trial lesson while you are there. That is so important as well, to kind of get a feel for the school, but also for the teacher. And number 4, don't just visit the uni, visit the areas around the uni as well. Where will you be living? What areas you would want to live in? What areas maybe you should avoid? Your path to wherever you're living. All of these things are so important. And if you are doing an audition, or if you are going through this whole university process, I wish you all the best. And I just want to encourage you in the moment right now. I don't know what you're doing, whether you're, you know, going for a walk, whether you're on a bus, whether you're maybe getting some work done. I want you to just come back here for a second and just feel the encouragement, because I am sending you so much encouragement in this process. All right? That is about it for the episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out. As always, all the links to do with this episode will be in the show notes, from the blog post for this episode to the links about to the episodes about the trial lessons, and also the link for the Confident Musicians audition guide. I hope you have the loveliest of days, and I will see you in the next episode. All right, take care. Bye-bye.